In this video, I want to cover the Bank Prospector bank record details. Okay, at the top, obviously, we have the name of the bank and the location of its headquarters, its website. Here's a watch list option if you want to add it to a watch list. You can see I have Bank of America already added. These are two buttons that I'll get into in a later video. And this here is a tag where I can, it's sort of a free-form categorization, if you will. Okay. Over here is the official FDIC certificate number, and here's the reporting date we're looking at, which in this case is March, although there is more current data available. Okay, right here, regulatory capital ratios. It sounds complicated. There's Tier 1 leverage ratio, Tier 1 risk-based, and total risk-based. We don't need to know much about this except that Tier 1 risk-based and total risk-based, there are minimums as laid out by the FDIC that banks should have. They should have a minimum Tier 1 ratio of 4% and a total risk-based ratio of 8%. Banks that have ratios below those numbers could be on the edge of failure and certainly are not able to sell maybe at the market rates today, with the new values being significantly less than probably what the loans are out there for. In the middle column, I have indicators. By the way, you can learn more by reading the blog about the regulatory capital ratios and how they might apply to your prospecting. The indicators in the middle, okay, non-accruals sold. This shows whether or not a bank has sold any non-performing notes or non-performing loans in the previous quarter. You can see that Bank of America sold not quite $250 million in non-accrual loans. Okay, loan loss provisions is how much cash banks have on hand in order to accommodate the losses that they're suffering through the disposition of the non-accrual. There's an entire episode in the podcast section of the blog that tells you how to use loss provisions to identify banks and size up potential deal volume. Here's net gain and loss on REO. This is the difference between what a bank has charged off on their loans versus what they've brought the property back in as REO. Now they've resold it. This is the difference. In this case, they did pretty well. These are loans and leases held for sale. Not all banks show these. Sometimes these are securitized packages. You know, what you probably want to look at are some of the other indicators we'll show you here. Right now we're expanding our asset classes. Today we have commercial real estate, multifamily, construction, residential, land, C&I, which is business debt that's non-real estate related, automobile loans, credit cards, which Bank of America reports through a subsidiary, and then other consumer debt. Okay, so for each of these, you can go through and you can see here's the REO balances, that's real estate owned or bank owned property of Bank of America. For each one of these, in this case for commercial real estate, we have these for all the asset classes. In this case, there's no loss share showing it, this particular B of A. Okay, so we've got here's their total portfolio. The amount that they have covered under loss share. If you don't know what loss share is, you should go to the blog, go to the podcasts, and listen to our episode on loss share and how that impacts the sales of distressed assets by banks. We also have charge-offs and recoveries. Banks that are not showing charge-offs are not prepared to sell. At the bottom, you can see that we have the current quarter and then a history of 4 quarters of activity. And you can learn more about all of the details here and what all these numbers mean and how they apply to you in your specific distressed asset business, whether you're buying notes, whether you're a REO broker, or whatever it is. You can learn more about how to use this data for your own prospecting in our user guide.